We are going to talk about how to make homemade kefir. It's something that I've been practicing in my family for over 10 years and we love it. And I can honestly tell you it has changed my family's immune system. We truly maybe get sick a few times a year, and if we do catch something, we aren't down for any more than maybe 24 hours at the most. So it's been something that I have a really big passion for. Today I'm gonna make milk kefir. You can make kefir with lots of different kinds of nut milks, like the coconut and almond milk. I'm sure cashew milk would work too. I've never tried that. But I've been making it with cow's milk most often. This kefir right here has been sitting on my counter for the last 24 hours, and that is exactly what kefir is. It's fermented milk. So you will have inside this kefir some little kefir grains, and I'm going to show you how to separate those grains and get your actual kefir. So like I said, this has been sitting on my counter out of direct sunlight for 24 hours, and I can tell it's done because of these little pockets of whey. You can see those little white clear fluid pockets in there. This is the whey that comes out of the dairy. When it's separated, you'll be able to see how the grains are living inside all of this. So this is a strainer that I use. I actually just get this at Walmart. It's a stainless steel sink strainer, and I've been so excited because it fits directly right inside the wide mouth jars, so you don't have to worry about kefir spilling everywhere. So like I said, this kefir has been sitting out on the counter. I usually, when you ferment kefir, you kind of leave the lid on a little bit loose so that some oxygen can get through, and it sits like that. And now that I'm gonna go strain the kefir, I tighten up the lid so I make sure I don't spill it anywhere, and then I just kind of give it a decent shake. Sometimes I've done it too vigorously before, and then the kefir gets kind of bubbly. So just enough to kind of make sure the whey gets back into the milk, and then it kind of just is like this creamy, thick consistency. So now I want to separate the kefir grains out from the kefir. So this is where I'll take my glass jar and I'll pour it in. And you can kind of see again the consistency, it's a little bit thicker. Let me make sure you can see that okay. And I just kind of tap it. There's also going to be thicker chunks of this kefir in here. This is all the really good cultures and where all the probiotics live. So this is a great kefir. So tap, it takes a couple minutes. You start to be able to do this with your eyes closed. So easy. So now I've got all the kefir, my jar's empty. Give it a last few taps, and then right there you can see all the kefir grains. They actually kind of remind me of like little tiny cottage cheese, you know, like bits. If you were to grab it, it's pretty gelatinous and kind of squishy. But now you have your fresh kefir grains, and then you have your kefir. So this kefir actually is ready to drink right now if you want to. This kefir, homemade, has about 30 different strains of bacteria, which is really good. I want to second ferment my kefir, which means I'm going to put fruit or another form of sugar inside it to ferment it even more. So today I'm gonna do my banana. So I usually do bananas more often than not just because they're easy and my kids like them. It's a great source of prebiotic fiber, which we'll talk about also maybe in another video. But I drop the banana in there. I don't like it too ripe, but just enough. And then I put a fresh lid on top. And this time when I'm second fermenting it, I like the lid to be really tight. And I kind of just cover the banana and coat it. And then this jar will stay on my counter for about 2 to 4 hours, depending. And then by doing so, this second ferment, you can get an additional maybe 20 to 30 more strains and additional strains of bacteria. So this will live on my counter just right here. Now I've got my kefir grains and I'm ready to make more kefir. I'm gonna go grab some milk so I can pour some milk in. I've made kefir with everything from skim milk to whole milk. And I have to tell you, my most favorite of all is just to use good old-fashioned 1% milk. It's still creamy, but not overloaded with too many saturated fats, but just enough to make the kefir really good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these kefir grains and put them right back into the same jar. You can use a fresh jar if you want to, but I'll use the same jar maybe 1 or 2 different times just because it's still got all that good bacteria in there. So I just dump the grains back in the jar, fill it up with milk again. I'm gonna add a little bit more milk this time. 1 tablespoon of grains will do about 3.5 cups of milk, and make that into kefir. So now I'm gonna put this lid back on. And again, this time, since it's the first ferment with fresh milk and kefir grains in there, this will sit on the counter for 24 hours. Do not ever put it in a cupboard. You think, oh, I'll just keep it out of the direct sunlight and keep it in a cupboard. But I promise you, you'll forget about it. And then in 3 days, you'll find really curdly kefir. Kefir doesn't get rotten too quickly, but that's actually when it would get rotten, is if it got left in a cupboard for a couple days. But again, you'll know this is ready after 24 hours, or when you start to see those clear pockets of whey. And then you repeat the process. You take a fresh jar, strain the kefir, pull out the grains, and start all over again. Go ahead and leave any questions you have in the comments, and hopefully we'll get back to you. Thanks so much.